Yeah, because I didn't send it to him. All right, good morning, folks. Sorry about the technical difficulties this morning. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. We're going to give those folks that I gave the wrong link to a second to catch up. We're going to give those folks that All right. Good morning. Wow, what a start. The issues of live television. Am I right? But good morning. It's your favorite corporate chef, Chef Adam Klosterman, here with you live at our beautiful Minneapolis test facility, Curate. My apologies for the technical difficulties this morning. Hopefully, we'll have a few more that roll in progress. I just want to remind everyone that there is a chat function over to the right-hand side. If you signed up for a free YouTube account, you should have the ability to ask me questions throughout, and I will answer them live in real time. Kind of the process of today, we're going to spend about an hour. Normally I say 45 minutes, but I never hold that true. So about 50 minutes to an hour, kind of walking you guys through everything, and kind of spend a 10,000-foot view on what Alto-Shaam is, kind of some of the technologies that we offer, a lot of use case, so hopefully a lot of useful information as to how the technology is supposed to work, what the technology does, and then from there, if you have any other questions or you want to dive a little deeper into a topic, feel free to reach out to myself or your Apex sales representative, and we'll gladly get you locked in and loaded with some more information. Before I even get started here, I'm going to give you a little history lesson, but before I do that, I am going to go ahead and get these pork chops rolling in the combi oven, and we'll come back and visit these in just a little bit. Alto-Shaam has a really fun and interesting story. Today, I'm not going to give you a whole lot of salesy type information at all, really. However, this will be really the only salesy-ish type of information that I give you, but I think it's really important, and it goes a long way in telling the story and the history of Alto-Shaam. Alto-Shaam was started by a guy named Jerry Moss, and Jerry owned a fast food fried chicken delivery business called Chicken Delight in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he delivered fried chicken in Volkswagen bugs, if you can believe that, a concept right out of the 70s when he started this. Jerry tried all the modern-day solutions for hot holding in those cold winter Wisconsin nights, including modern holding day technology. He also fired up live flames in the back of his delivery drivers' cars, right? Like insanity. But he was that dedicated to the idea of keeping the quality that he worked so hard for in the kitchen, of that crispy, crunchy, fried chicken exterior with the moist chicken on the inside, and he had to find a solution. So like any good entrepreneur, he solved the issue himself. Legend has it, he was at a game at Lambeau Field, and there was some snow built up around the exterior of the field, but the field itself looked in relatively good playing condition. He was talking to some of the engineers, and they said, we use some thermal radiant cabling that we ribbon through the bottom of the field to ensure that the playing conditions are good, but that it's not powerful enough to burn up the good quality of our grass. And he thought, light bulb went off. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here with my chicken. I'm trying to keep it hot and fresh, but I'm not trying to continue to cook it or dry it out or lose that quality that I'm building. So he took that same thermal radiant cabling. I equate it to the type of thermal radiant cabling that you would find in an electric blanket at home, right? If you've used one of those before, that gentle heat. And wrapping that around a stainless steel box and insulating it, what he discovered that was because that was gentle enough, Jerry didn't need to use any fans or humidity or anything along those lines. And before I get any further, I do need to tell my crew here, oh, my knife. They did bring it out for me. Thank you. Before I go any further here, I do have to say that Jerry, what he realized in having that thermal radiant cabling inside of his box, he didn't have to bring any fans or humidity to continue to cook the product or dry the product out, that he had really, really good, high-quality product. There was a small roast beef chain at the time called Arby's that came to him and said, hey, you're holding fried chicken in this device. We're struggling holding our roast beef. Do you think that we could maybe do the same, except in using the same box to hold our beef? He said, I don't know. Let's give it a try. So what he found was that by holding the roast beef in this thermal radiant kind of insulated cabinet, was that rather than it drying out or losing quality over time, the quality of that product actually got better. Because I kind of equate it to like a stock pot on the stove, reducing the soup by a third or by a half. You get that concentration of flavor. It was tenderizing the meat far better than it was before, and it was doing that all without losing or compromising the quality or the yield of the product. They came to him and said, hey, we're holding our roast beef in here. Do you think that we could just cook and hold our roast beef all in the same environment? They said, I don't know. Let's give it a try. And what that there became the creation or the invention of the Alto-Shaam Cook and Hold product, which is going to be the first product that we talk about here today. The Alto-Shaam Cook and Hold product was, and in my opinion still is, Alto-Shaam's flagship product, even though they have some other fascinating technology that we're going to talk about today. It is in almost in every kitchen, and if it's not, I'm going to be spitting my Alto-Shaam word all throughout the Midwest, telling people why it should be in every single kitchen. Before we even get any further than that, I do want to just pull out some product so that we can get that aspect of it moving. And what I did here was I cooked a tri-tip overnight. A tri-tip, synonymously known as one of the more difficult cuts of proteins to cook, especially in like the smoking or the barbecue world. If you can cook a good tri-tip, then you pretty much know what you're doing. But the Alto-Shaam makes that really easy, and I did a little bit of a dramatic use case here just to really highlight the benefits of the cook and hold. And I cooked this for a couple hours last night, and then just for dramatic sake, it's been holding for about 15 hours. And me just picking that up off the tray, it is so incredibly delicate and tender that you wouldn't even believe. I know you probably can't see that. Maybe if we hop into the action cam here, you can kind of see my knife pressing in. And where the cook and hold is really pretty incredible is in this story right here. So it was created and invented in the 70s as the prime ribber. So This right here tells the story of why the cook and hold was invented and why it's so special. Look at how uniform and beautiful that cut of meat is. You don't see that bullseye effect in any way, shape, or form that you would see in a traditional oven where you have well done and then medium well and then medium rare kind of in the center with that little bit of bullseye. This is completely uniform from tip to tip, end to end. If I chop off a little hunk here at the very end, you're going to see the exact same coloring at the very, very tip, which is why this is so impressive. So Jerry created this kind of as the prime ribber, right? And kind of marketed as that to do that very thing. And why that's so special is the concentration of flavor, like I talked about before. Doing that cooking and holding not only creates operational efficiencies, where you can kind of channel your inner Billy Mays, set it and forget it and move along, but you can also create some ROI and yield. So yield is a really big deal as it relates to big, bulky proteins, which is one of the core competencies of this piece of equipment. If you were to cook, let's say, a bottom round or a tri-tip for that matter in a convection oven, one, you'd never ever get that result from a quality standpoint. But two, from a yield standpoint, which speaks to the quality a little bit, you'd never get that. So in a convection oven, a nice cut of roast beef is going to have about a 30-35% shrinkage. So that means the original weight that we took from that product, put it into the oven, and when we took it out, it lost about that much. In a cook and hold, on that same cut of meat, we're looking at about 10 to 12 maybe at the max. So we're picking up about 15 to 20% more yield. So if you're an operation that's cooking high volumes of big, bulky proteins, and you're not doing it in some form of cook and hold, you're leaving a lot of dollars on the table, not to mention the quality, the operational efficiencies. The other aspect of the cook and hold is that it is a ventless piece of equipment. So many people are looking right now to pivot and kind of revisit their menus and look at what's executable in this modern day, post-COVID or, COVID forever world that we're living in, and how do we create more efficiencies and different menu items. Cook and hold, adding ventless pieces of equipment within your kitchen to create more operational efficiencies and a more dynamic menu, where you can do that without consuming that precious hood space. So it can sit not underneath a hood. One of the other aspects of this is that it's programmable. So we're constantly looking at labor struggles, labor issues, constant turnover in the food service world. Being able to have programmable solutions. Not only can we have programmable solutions, but we can have programmable solutions here, and then we look at partnering maybe a cook and hold with something like the vector oven. So like this tri-tip. Maybe we're slicing it up to put it inside of a panini or on top of a flatbread that we could then finish in the vector, again, with the stroke of a programmable button. We're not quite there where we have robots flipping burgers and doing things like that in our kitchens. Maybe within the next 5 to 7 years we'll get there, but right now, an immediate solution that Alto-Shaam does a great job is creating that systematic automation where we use two different pieces of programmable equipment to create consistency, proficiency, and efficiency in our kitchens, and the cook and hold is a dynamic piece. The cook and hold paired up with the vector oven that I'm going to show you later, that small little tiny like 30-inch footprint, I could probably do like 150 covers by myself with just those two pieces of equipment alone. So really powerful stuff here, folks. Now, I want to kind of clean up one of the misconceptions in the cook and hold, and that's that if I'm not doing big, bulky proteins, then I don't have a use for the cook and hold, and that's really just not the case. I like to use a phrase that says, if you have a cook and hold, or you're looking to get a cook and hold, and it's not running 24 hours a day, you're likely losing money somewhere in your operation. A few other examples. Honing in on those key words like in-house or from scratch. So it's really, really easy to create from scratch yogurts or creme fraiches in the cook and hold. It's an amazing use case. You get it started, you throw some heavy cream and some yogurt culture or a little scoop of plain Greek yogurt, you throw that in there and cook it for a couple hours, hold it overnight, you come back and it's perfect. Being able to integrate some of those key words like in-house or from scratch. Doing stocks. It's kind of a lost art. I always wanted to be a saucier when I was in culinary school and moved to Rome or New York and kind of recreate that lost art of the saucier role where you create sauces and soups and stocks from scratch. being able to create stock where you have leftover veggies, you throw it into a pot, you fill it up with water, you cook it and hold it overnight, and it is the most clear and amazing quality stock that you could ever imagine. So know and understand that the cook and hold has far more use. One last one, braising. Again, if you look at systematic automation, I just had an Irish pub in here last week where we were braising their meats and then finishing them in the vector. So partnering up and creating that systematic approach to your prep work can help you alleviate some of those labor issues and struggles. The cook and hold, a ventless piece, high yields on proteins, quick ROI, versatile, and it's a sustainable piece as well. Utilizing only about $1 of a day of electricity and not consuming that hood or having to utilize the hood or the vents creates a very, very operational or utility efficient piece of equipment as well. We have two brand new controllers. I encourage you to go to Alto-Shaam.com and look at the cook and hold. It just got a facelift. So the controller that you see here is the older generation, and then the one down below it is brand new. I'm going to take you on a tour of the brand new controller when we talk about the vector oven, because they're pretty much the same. There's a couple different controller options though. If a cook and hold is something that you're looking or interested in, please feel free to reach out to myself or again your Apex rep to get you some more information on that new device or on the new controllers. We also manufacture that same Halo Heat technology in our brand new heated merchandisers or redesigned heated merchandisers for grab and go. They're beautiful, they look better, and they're better quality than the big top dog that's out there. I'm not going to give them any airtime, but we all know who we're talking about. I encourage you to take a look into that. Waterless hot wells, so you can have a heated serving table without the use of any plumbing or water. We also manufacture that cook and hold, same exact oven, except our Alto-Shaam famous smoker box can go into the back of it. Only difference there is that it can't go underneath the hood, or it has to go underneath the hood if you're going to integrate that smoke feature. But the same ROI, the yields, the high quality, the tender, beautifully tender, concentrated flavors of meats, all the same thing, but with that added benefit of smoke. Again, going to encourage you all. I see that we've had some extras join us, so I'm glad you guys were able to figure this out after my air this morning. Please feel free to hop into that chat if you guys have any questions. We're going to transition into talking about the combi oven. The combi oven is one of the most sophisticated and exciting pieces of culinary equipment in the world. And it's funny that I say that because a lot of people don't realize that combi technology, even when Alto-Shaam started manufacturing it about 40 years ago. I mean, it's really old. It's been a long time. It's gone through its paces. It's gone through its runs, its ups and downs. But there's been constant innovation within the space and the technology that I find fascinating. And I still think it has kept its track as being the most sophisticated piece of culinary equipment in the world. That is, until Alto-Shaam releases some new technology that's coming up here in the next couple months that is going to blow people away. I digress. Until then, let's focus and stay on the combi technology. I had my first experiences with combi technology in my time in a European kitchen. I spent my younger days working in a kitchen in Florence, Italy. And my kitchen in Florence, we had a 4-burner range, an 18-inch grill, a pasta cooker, and a combi oven, and that was it. And we were able to do about 275, 300 covers a night in that little tiny 10 by 15 shoebox of a kitchen. And the reason that we were able to do that was because of combi technology. Combi technology, extremely versatile. And that kitchen was really the prime example of why it was invented. So it was a primarily and predominantly European technology. At its most basic roots, it could be a steamer, it can be a convection oven, and then it can be this wonderful magical combination of both where we utilize high temperature steam and convective air all at the same time. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about that. But before I do that, I want to spend some time talking about steam mode. One of the most impressive aspects, just in time here, our first item that's out of the oven. I'm going to get to this in just a second. Let me pull this out and transition the oven to the next temperature so we can keep this moving. I'm going to talk about these pork chops here in just a second. But I got to get this oven rolling. So let's first start off talking about steam mode. If we want to utilize this as a baseline traditional steamer, we can do that. We can do that at 212 degrees on steam mode, and we can utilize this like your traditional baseline steamer. So we could heat items up in a bag. We can rethermalize soups or sauces from the day before. We can steam corn, steam potatoes, do whatever we got to do. We can utilize this as a traditional baseline steamer. However, one of the biggest differences between steaming in a combi oven versus a traditional steamer is the fact that we can manipulate the temperature. So we can go all the way down to 85 degrees, which gives us the ability to do some pretty incredible stuff. For example, 110 degrees. Let's dive back over to the action cam over here and take a look what I did at 110 degrees this morning. We have these beautiful cinnamon rolls. So I did these, proofed them at 110 degrees for about 25 minutes, and then baked them in a 325 degree oven for about 12 minutes. And look at how puffy and perfect and beautiful these are. So healthcare, college and universities, K through 12 schools have all gotten back to that from scratch or semi-scratch baking programs, because in the K through 12 world, that 51% whole grain kind of threw everyone for a loop because there weren't really any products that could meet that demand. So schools had to start taking the action into their own hands. So being able to proof and bake, combined with the programmability aspect of the oven, where you could, with the touch of one button, proof and bake all in one fluid step to allow you to throw your product in, click the button, do it with persistence and consistency every time while you're getting going, doing other things for the day, to do your baking. The Alto-Shaam Combi Oven is an incredible baking oven. It's kind of underappreciated as a baking oven because of some of those abilities. You can create any type of environment you want, and that's a baker's dream, right? We can go up a little hotter than that. We can do traditional sous vide style cooking. Not sure that anyone on this call really cares about that, but if you do, you can cryovac, vacuum seal up, use this just like an immersion circulator in a water bath, throw your vacuum sealed proteins in there, and then again, systematic automation. Throw those in an Alto-Shaam holding cabinet, flash them as orders come in or for service, and you're off and rolling. However, the technique that I want to show you guys here today, I call it bagless sous vide. So bagless sous vide is where you take, let's say, a product like this, like a pork chop, and we give it a little pre-sear. So on the action cam here, you can see that I've gotten some nice caramelization. I just threw it in the pan for a hot second. And then we finished it at about 170 degrees, right to our core temperature of 140 degrees. And you can see inside of here how perfect this is, cooked to a perfect medium temperature on the pork chop. And I don't know if I'm in the range there. They're giving me the thumbs up. Perfect medium rare, perfect consistency, texture, and the yield on that is so incredibly high. You would have no idea that this wasn't prepared by a fine Italian or French chef because of that quality that you're getting. And again, this isn't difficult. You're flashing it on a flat top or a charbroiler or a saute pan or a braising pan for a hot second, giving it the caramelization, throwing it onto a sheet chafe, throwing it into the oven, putting a probe in it, saying 140 degrees, and that's as difficult as it has to be. And you're getting premium, high quality, high trained chef type quality food with the push of a button. We could also reverse engineer this idea if you were a more a la carte type operation. So if you were the type of operation that wanted to cook in a more a la carte sense. So you could do that, marinate your protein, cook them in bulk to, like, let's say if it's a chicken breast, 155 degrees. Saran wrap that pan, put it hot in your Alto-Shaam hot well. Grab that out when an order comes in, slap it on the charbroiler or the flat top for a second. If you were to grill that chicken breast from raw when that order came in, you're looking at 14, 15 minutes for that pickup time. If we already have it to that point and we're just looking to get the caramelization and the sear and the color, we're looking at a 3-4 minute pickup time. So using, again, that systematic automation approach, reducing ticket times by 66%. and maintaining quality, making it much more structured and easy and procedural for that staff that might have a hard time from a skill perspective grilling that chicken breast from raw to completion to perfect 165 degrees every single time. It gives them the tools and the ability to do that. We can go up a little hotter than that. We could do it at 185 degrees is the perfect temperature for the blanching of any green vegetables. Schools, I see this all the time in colleges and K through 12 schools, serving some pretty questionable green broccoli, right? Or green broccoli. It's pale, it's mushy, it has that brown, or it's sat in the hot box or the steam well a little too long. Doing green vegetables at 185 degrees doesn't take any more time. I can do broccoli from fresh or frozen in about 10-12 minutes. It's not like this is taking hours on end here, folks. This is quick, actionable activities that will help you improve your quality of your product. It's going to be a brighter, vibrant green broccoli. It's going to have that natural al dente crunch, and it's going to hold up in your hot wells or your hot boxes for a much longer period of time. Just lowering that temperature of that steamer instead of 212 down to 185 can give you the ability to have far more control and flexibility over what you're doing. The last item that I'm going to give you guys, just to get those wheels turning as to how flexible combi cooking is, we can do this at 190 degrees and do any custard-based desserts. Creme brulee, flan, cheesecake, you name it. You can do without the use of a water bath, okay? Which is incredible. You get that perfect creamy, custardy texture, no browning on the top. You don't have to worry about the pan running dry or messing with the hot pan of water bath afterwards. It's an incredible concept. Now, I just want to give you guys a few ideas. Can we use this at 212 degrees just as a traditional steamer if you're an institutional kind of side of the industry and you don't care about all this fancy stuff? Absolutely you can. Hopefully I armed you with a few ideas for kind of every type of operation that gets you understanding that combi is so much more than what meets the surface. And I think what makes Apex so special is that we are armed with a team of specialists, both in the culinary world, in the bar and beverage world, in the tabletop world, specialists whose job is to exclusively help you with these types of things completely free of charge. Up here in the north, you have myself, and down in the south, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, those folks now have Chef Anthony, who we just brought on about a month ago, who is incredibly talented. And we are here for you to help you and know and understand that when you get these units into your operation, it's not just on your staff to figure this out on your own. We want to be there with you, provide free service that allows you to integrate these ideas into your service, or into your operation, so that you see these coming to life within your operation. All right, so we're going to come back to that pork chop here in just a few minutes when I get this rolling, or a few other items rolling. However, know and understand that if you want to cook on steam mode at 212 degrees and use this as a traditional baseline steamer, you can. But know and understand that the combi oven, as it relates to steam mode, is so much more than that. I want to go ahead and transition in over to combination cooking. Kind of the big shebang, the highlight of the show today is get you guys to know and understand what combi cooking is. And to do that, I have a couple of items here that I'm going to cook for y'all. However, my main item that I always use is a grilled cheese sandwich. So bump over here to the action cam. I have 2 pieces of whole wheat bread, some American cheese, and a little butter spray on top there, and that's it. And I'm going to do some fancier stuff, some potatoes, some salmon. However, my main core item is going to be the grilled cheese to explain how combi technology works. Because if I were to task all of you with cooking me a grilled cheese sandwich in this oven, you'd probably say, well, I'm not going to do it in combination mode because that would be a soggy, disgusting mess, right? I'm not going to do it in steam mode. That'd be a soggy, disgusting mess. I'm not going to do it in combination mode. There's still steam in the cavity. And I want this grilled cheese sandwich to be golden brown and colorful and crispy and have a crunch. So I'm going to do it in convection mode. So when it comes down and boils down to all the other things that you want to do, your roasted proteins, your roasted veggies, your roasted potatoes, your French fries, your tater tots, your chicken tenders, your chicken nuggets, all those things that have color and crispiness and texture, you deviate back to convection mode. And then there's this whole magical mystery combination mode, and that's the whole reason why you bought the oven in the first place. And that's why Apex takes the approach that we do of providing these types of seminars, in-person, in-service trainings, all free of charge, because we want you to buy this technology and know and understand why and how you're supposed to use it. So let's talk about combination mode real quick, using my grilled cheese sandwich. If we put a grilled cheese sandwich in on steam mode at 212, that's how I mentioned just a regular traditional steamer, of course it would be a soggy, disgusting mess. We all agreed upon that, right? What is 212? The boiling point of water. You put a pot of boiling water on the stove. Right as it's about to boil, you have that steam and that vapor that comes off the top of the pot. It's that wet, moist steam. But you don't see that steam, right? That type of steam does two things for you. That type of steam will never make something crispy, right, or golden brown. However, once you get above 212 degrees, that type of steam acts, behaves, and cooks completely different from the type of steam that you're used to in a traditional steamer. That type of steam is the thing that does three things for you. The example I like to use there is of a sauna. You have the wooden room, the hot rocks, the pail of water, you ladle the water over the rocks and it becomes steam, but you don't see that steam. That type of steam, those three things that it's going to do for you. One, it's going to cook about 30 to 60% faster than traditional cooking methods. So I know I have a couple K through 12 schools on this call here. One of the biggest challenges as a food service director, you're always encouraging your staff to cook more a la carte or in batch, right? Batch cooking, so that your French fries aren't sitting in your holding cabinet for hours on end and becoming a soggy, disgusting mess. However, what you don't maybe realize is that as your staff does the math, that batch of French fries, to get them as crispy as the kids like them, is going to take me about 35 minutes, 30 minutes. I got X amount of trays to do, I have this amount of volume. The math doesn't work. So they have to start earlier and load up those hot boxes. The combi oven, being able to take that same batch of French fries and cook it instead of 30, 35 minutes in about 17, 15 minutes, gives them the ability to either cook 50 to 60% closer to service, or if you have the staffing capabilities, gives them the ability to cook during service to keep food fresh and consistent and quality. A couple other examples. We can smoke a whole oven load full of pork back ribs in an hour and a half, 2 hours instead of 3, 4, 5 hours. I can cook a whole pork loin in 40 minutes. These roasted smashed potatoes that I'm doing for this next dish, instead of taking 40, 45 minutes, are going to take 22 minutes. So speed is one of the core essence of combi cooking. The next benefit is that it's going to be better quality product. I'm cooking a salmon fillet in here. If you throw a salmon fillet into a traditional oven, dry air is thirsty. You walk in, right, to work, there's a puddle on the ground, you leave, the puddle's gone. What happened? The air sucked up all that moisture. Dry oven does the same thing. If you overcook it in the slightest, it starts taking a drink right out of the product. So there's less moisture, less grease, less quality, less fat, less goodness in that product. If we can compensate for that by adding a little bit of humidity to the product or to the cavity, then we don't need to remove it out of the product. So this salmon, you're going to see how incredibly moist and juicy and flaky and tender it is. The third and final thing, and this is traditionally like the steam at these really high temperatures will make product browner and crispier and more texturized than a convection oven can. I know it makes no sense. You're just going to have to trust me here. But right now I'm cooking on combination mode and 400 degrees. Let's take a look at the controller. Combination mode, 400 degrees and 100% humidity. And we cooked that grilled cheese sandwich. No magic here. You saw it. Go in. Seeing it come out. And take a look at this. That perfectly prepared. Let's get a little action here. Beautifully crispy and crunchy. Cooked at 100% humidity. Now, I would love to take a deeper dive with this if you'd like to. Both sides. Let's burn my hands here and take a nice little cheese peel. Woo! Look at that. Beautiful, moist tenderness. That melty cheese, that crispy outside. Exactly. Ooh, so hot. Exactly how a grilled cheese sandwich should taste. I wish you guys could taste this. No burnt edges, perfect consistency. Maybe cooking a grilled cheese sandwich isn't what your operation is looking to do, but this is a great example of how combi technology works from the standpoint that we can get color, caramelization, and crispiness utilizing steam at high temperatures. In here as well, I have some French fries rolling. I have roasted vegetables, roasted potatoes, you name it. I have all those incredible goodies that require caramelization and crispiness and color, and we're able to do it in steam mode. It's fascinating. Couple other things. Combi oven, while my crew is over there, one thing I forgot to get out was my balsamic glaze. Can you guys look for that in that cooler over there for me? I appreciate it. We're going to get ready to plate up some dishes here, but before I do that, a few other elements or aspects of combi cooking or combi technology. It can be a smoker as well. So we can utilize some wood chips and a smoker box. And we can add smoke, whether it be cold smoke or hot smoke. So we can do traditional style barbecue like pulled pork or pulled brisket, or we can cold smoke cheeses and seafoods and those sorts of things. So we can utilize this as a smoker. I have K through 12 schools. For just a couple $100 more, you can get that smoke feature and you can use it or not. But I have them smoking commodity pork butts, smoking commodity cheeses, smoking vegetables, chickpeas for hummus. And that's okay, don't worry about it. Chickpeas for hummus, etc., you name it. So we can also use this as a dehydrator. I mean, there are a million other things that we can utilize that is pretty incredible. So it looks like our salmon is done here. Also, keep in mind, I used the probe functionality to cook this salmon. So it just cooked to a perfect 140 degrees, and now it's beeping at me. I didn't have to poke and prod or do anything else inside of there to make that dish come to life. Take a look at that beautiful, moist, delicate piece of salmon. We also have some roasted Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are an incredible use case for combi technology because you would normally have to pre-blanch those Brussels sprouts to get that kind of color in the convection oven. I didn't have to do that here. I was able to brown and soften those up all in one fluid step. I also have some gorgeous smashed potatoes that I'm going to incorporate into this pork dish. You can see that beautiful browning and crispiness that we were able to get out of those as well. And then those French fries are going to hang out in there for just a few more minutes. All right, let's plate up. So, plate number one, we're going to do this salmon dish. So everything was prepared in the combi oven in all of these dishes, which is really fascinating when you see it all come together. Grains are something that a lot of people don't think about as it relates to combi oven. Any of those items that you're traditionally doing on your stovetop, your grains, your legumes, your beans, your sauteed vegetables, all those types of things that are typically done by hand can be done in the combi oven. This was about 22 minutes on this farro. So I have a little fall harvest farro salad here that I'm going to throw on top of this. I'm going to throw this salmon on top of. And then we're just going to garnish with my recent favorite, just some microgreens, just to add a little nice dynamic touch. Look at this beautiful dish here that, again, no matter what type of operation you are, you could sub that protein out for anything. Some meatballs you could throw on top of there. If you're a school, throw some pre-grilled chicken breast on top of there that you just warmed in the oven, and you have this fresh, healthy, dynamic dish that literally everything was done not by hand, done programmed by probe in the combi oven. A pretty good testament. One other dish that I want to do here as well is finish up that pork dish that I showed you guys. A nice, beautiful fall-inspired dish. We have some apples and we have some butternut squash puree. So we're going to throw this butternut squash puree onto the bottom of the plate. Again, we're kind of sticking to the fall theme here. Just steep this in some heavy cream in the combi oven for a few minutes and then use my RoboCoupe Blixer to get that incredible consistency there. Look at how smooth that is. Did miss a chunk. That happens. That incredibly smooth texture. We're going to layer some of our smashed potatoes up in there. We're going to throw a few of our Brussels sprouts. And I love those crispy, crunchy leaves that you get from the combi. That just makes it so crunchy and gives it some texture. And then the pièce de la résistance, our perfectly prepared pork that's going to go on top of there. And I swear I had some balsamic glaze laying around here, but it seems as if it ran off. So we'll just use the microgreens again so you can get the point. Had a nice little glaze that kind of went over the top. But again, look at these two. Oh my gosh. Almost forgot my apples. I think I create some of the best apples that money can buy. Some apples, some onions, some garlic, some fresh parsley, a little champagne vinegar, and some brown sugar. And oh my gosh, the acidity and sweetness that you get that kind of pairs up with the butternut squash and the pork. I mean, look at how beautiful that dish is. Guys, nothing about this is hard. Literally any skill level can do this. This is some salt and pepper, roasting some veggies, roasting some potatoes, and putting a probe into a pork chop and saying go. And I think that's what's so crazy about combi, is how incredibly beautiful, dynamic, unique, and incredible dishes that you can get with very little skill level and very little knowledge as it relates to the culinary world. And that's why we're here. We're here to help you. We're here to help you and your operation figure that out. I'm running out of places to go. If you didn't know it, Alto-Shaam combi ovens are 100% manufactured in the United States, which we are the only combi oven manufacturer that can say for certain with 100% certainty that we are 100% manufactured in the United States, which is incredible. Combi ovens also clean themselves. So if you didn't realize it, combi ovens do take care of that on their own. So incredible, fascinating technology. It can also be ventless. If you did not know that, combi ovens do have the capability of being ventless as well. So if there's no questions, we're just going to keep this moving along. We did get a late start, but I'm going to transition. You guys can follow me over to the vector oven here for our last piece of technology. And man, am I excited to talk about this. So the vector oven is really a category forming product. And by category forming, I mean there really isn't another oven that's like it. To kind of show you, I'm going to bounce over to the action cam here and give you guys, probably make you sick. But the vector oven is a really pretty incredible piece. So the vector oven can be a 2-chamber. What you're looking at here is a 3-chamber. Let me adjust the settings here. There we go. You can see it a little better. A 3-chamber or a 4-chamber. We have them in half size and full size. So this is a half size 3-chamber unit. And what's incredible about it is right now I have some biscuits rolling in the bottom. And I'm going to get a few other things started here just to kind of show you the versatility a little bit. So I'm going to get this beautiful pepperoni pizza rolling. I'm going to throw that in the top shelf. And then I'm going to throw some sunny side up eggs. I'm going to throw those into the bottom shelf, or middle shelf, while my biscuits are continuing to roll. All right, I'm going to cook these manually. So I'm going to show you how I can cook them manually. The pizza, 7 minutes, and we'll go 6 minutes at 100%, 475. That's perfect. Or we can cook via a pre-program. So I select my book. I'm going to find, let's search by eggs, e.g. There's Tim Murphy's fried egg recipe, and off we roll. So we can cook manually or by program. And let's bounce away from this for a second. So the vector oven, when I describe or talk about the vector oven, rather than talking about what the vector oven is, I kind of like to talk about what the vector oven is not. So the vector oven, there's 4 pieces of equipment I like to talk about with the vector oven. And the first one is a high-speed oven, like Turbo Chef, Mary Chef, those sorts of things. The high-speed oven is really interesting from the standpoint that they get speed and quality and consistency, except they use microwave. So if you want to use an ACP speed oven, and you have an operation where you are, the customer is coming up to the counter, they're ordering it, you need to cook it, give it back to them quickly, and then they're going to eat it right away. Perfect use case for the high-speed oven. And we partner, with ACP in some of our territories, and for that use case, that technology is brilliant. However, if you're in an operation where maybe things need to kind of cook and park, or you need to put things onto a heated merchandiser, or they need to go into a hot box, the vector oven really is a great kind of batch cooking piece for that capability because we don't utilize any microwave. So it's a quick fire category. It cooks things extremely fast, like this pizza is going to cook in 6 minutes, those eggs in 3 minutes, those biscuits in 12 minutes. However, we don't utilize microwave. The second piece is an impingement oven. So if you don't know, it's also known as a conveyor oven. Goes in on one end, comes out the other end, right? On the little conveyor belt. They use impingement air. So that impingement air is basically forcing really hot air through really tiny holes. And that makes it really concentrated. So if we bounce back to the action cam, you can see inside of here that we are no different. We use a re-engineered version of impinged air, both on the top and the bottom. And what that does is we call it structured air. We've re-engineered it using those slots and those dots. Let's bounce away. Using those slots and those dots to create a re-engineered version of impinged air where the product doesn't have to move. It can sit static, which instead of having that big wide linear footprint of an impingement oven, we have a 21-inch footprint with the vector oven, which consumes or saves a lot of oven space. I'm going to bounce off screen here because I'm assuming my French fries are probably done. Probably too done because I got distracted. They're perfect. I'm going to take you over. Woo! They're hot. Let me show you on the action here. Look at these beautiful golden, crispy brown French fries. And you can hear that beautiful crunch. Just like they came out of a deep fryer. There's our pork and salmon still hanging out. Beautiful stuff. So there's our end result on our French fries. So we talked about the impingement oven. The other thing is a lot of those impingement ovens need ventilation. The vector oven, a ventless piece of equipment. So it does not require a hood in any stretch of the imagination, which is incredible. Our first item appears to be done here, which are our biscuits. Let's grab those babies out. We'll throw those over here. I'll give you guys a quick little sneak peek. Look at how perfect and consistent. That's why I love doing these biscuits. Because from tip to tip, from corner to corner, I got to set this down to close my oven. From tip to tip, corner to corner, geez, I'm going to make you guys sick. You can see the vector oven's reminding me, hey buddy, you got some items in there. Looks like our eggs were done as well, so we're going to grab those out. Here's our beautiful sunny side up eggs. Okay, we could do sunny side up, we can do scrambled egg patties, we can do omelets, we can do all sorts of egg items, which are incredible. The last bit is the convection oven, okay? So the convection oven is, right, or even the combi oven for that matter, it's one cavity. Let's say we wanted to cook those biscuits at 350, but we also wanted to grill some salmon at 500. We wouldn't have the ability to do that. In the vector oven, that's what's happening right now. So in the vector oven, it's baking those biscuits at 350. We were cooking our eggs, or right now our salmon, at 500. And then we were cooking our pizza at 500 as well. So pretty incredible capabilities from the ability of being able to cook multiple items at once. It's fascinating. The last bit is the combi oven. So what makes the vector unique is that it does not use any water or steam or drains. So if you're looking at in an atmosphere or an environment where you need to put this, like a big use case for the vector ovens has been C-stores or gas stations, it's been colleges and universities and their cafes, and then it's been K through 12 schools who maybe have some sites that didn't have kitchens before, so they don't have a whole lot of plumbing or drains, and they're putting these vector ovens in their satellite schools and sending maybe the main dish over, but sending those items that don't hold well, like their French fries, their chicken tenders, their grilled cheese sandwiches, sending the supplies over and allowing the site to do that on their own. Our pizza is done, so we're going to grab the pizza out. And you guys are hopefully starting to see here how incredibly fast and efficient the vector oven is at spitting food out. So I'm going to throw our breakfast sausage in here real quick. It's our last item. Hopefully you're starting to see how quick and easy it is to get items to come out. We'll show you guys this pizza here. Look at how perfect that pizza is. And this is a thicker kind of, it's thinner, but it's not super thin, like cracker thin, like St. Louis style. And you can hopefully see how crispy, well, there you go. There you can see how crispy it is, maybe a little too crispy. That nice, beautiful bottom, and it was so crispy that it snapped off. I feel like that's a pretty good testament to how crispy we were able to get that pizza there. A little close-up of that crust. The Vector comes in all different controllers. The one you're looking at right here is our deluxe controller. I know I gave you a little sneak peek before. But this is the same controller that our combi oven, or I'm sorry, our cook and holds have now. So this is our deluxe controller that you can get on the Vector or the cook and hold. It has IoT technology that's riddled into it, so you can actually control this from central commissary or a central office and add new menu items or edit or change things to really remove it from the operational or store level. You also have a simple controller that looks a little bit different from this, but both the cook and hold and the Vector oven have both the simple controller and the deluxe controller, both programmable, just with a few different capabilities in there as well. One of my favorite features that this oven has is the add a step feature. So if we wanted to cook, let's say, a burger in here for 5 minutes, and then we wanted to add some cheese, adding an action is so fun. So we could add an action that says cheese, and then we could add another one for 45 seconds to have that burger continue to cook. So tons of capabilities with this deluxe controller that make this oven really pretty fascinating. What I find so incredible about this oven is the versatility. So you can see some of the versatility that's starting to come out of the oven. We did frozen biscuits. We did a fresh pizza. We did fresh eggs, but we could do frozen products like tater tots and French fries. We can do raw bacon. So that, to me, is one of the most interesting aspects of the oven, is that we can do raw protein. So it's ventless, but it's UL listed to be able to do raw protein. It looks like we have a question here. Question for school cooks using combis. Will you explain how to know what percentage of humidity to use, like breaded patties versus grilled cheese? Great question. So as it relates to the humidity, let's bounce over to the controller here, crew, and we're going to go through that. So we have this question of humidity, okay? I used to give this long explanation of how this operated, and I figured out that this could be so much easier than it needed to be. It's a question of volume for me. If I was going to do one sheet tray of French fries like I just did, I did it at 100%. So you could do French fries at 400. A better temperature for breaded or crispy items, in my opinion, is 425 degrees. And 100% humidity if we were just doing one sheet tray. You can get color, crispiness, and browning without the use of the humidity. If we were going to do 2 sheet trays, then we go between 80 to 60%. If we were going to do 3 sheet trays, 60 to 40%. And if we were going to do 4 full-size sheet trays, so a full oven load, somewhere between 20 to 40%. You should never need to go any lower than 20% unless you're dehydrating something or you're doing a large volume of like something that's really moist, like 4 or 5 sheet trays full of roasted mushrooms or something that's just like packed full of humidity. So an easy way to think about this is that we just lower this about 20% every tray that we add starting at 1. If you want to go a little complex with this, kind of explain a little more in detail what this does, if I set this oven to 50% humidity, it's not just adding 50% less humidity to the cavity, it's actually actively removing humidity from the cavity. So when you're actively removing humidity, the reason why that becomes so beneficial is because if you throw 4 sheet trays full of frozen French fries into a combi oven, the oven's going to add a little bit of humidity, and then those frozen French fries are going to add humidity to the cavity as well. So what lowering that humidity down does is regulate the amount. But because if you were here while I was explaining how combi technology works, you want the most amount of steam in the cavity because that's where our quick cook times are going to be, that's where our crispiness and caramelization is going to come from, and that's where our quality is going to come from. But it's about figuring out the right balance. A great starting point, if I'm going to break it down and make it as easy as I possibly could for a school cook, a great setting to use would be 425 degrees, combination mode, and 30% humidity. If you did that right there, you'll get high quality products every time. But the thing you can't forget is you have to start with a hot oven. So you have to preheat your oven before each cycle and or use the infinite timer button to make sure that the oven stays hot between cycles. It's the #1 most important aspect of cooking in a combi oven. What's really fun about the Vector, hopefully that answered your question. What's fun about cooking in the Vector oven is the ability to get some grill marks. So whether you put a half-size sheet tray or a grill pan accessory in there, it turns that platform into a nice little sheet tray or a nice little grill. So look at that beautiful, whether this is a burger, this is a breakfast sausage that I was showing to do like biscuits, sausage, and eggs and cheese on a little sandwich. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our salmon out of here. So illuminating door, the light's illuminating, telling me that it's that cavity that's done. And in about 16 minutes, look at the breadth of product that we were able to come up with out of the Vector oven. Here's our beautiful grilled salmon. Woo, just burnt myself. Grilled salmon, grilled breakfast sausage, biscuits, pizza, eggs, all within a pretty incredible short period amount of time. The Vector oven is fabulous. I'm going to leave this live here. That's really all I have for you guys today. I'm going to leave this live here if you guys have any other questions. But time is so incredibly valuable. And the fact that you guys took an hour out of your day to tune in, educate yourself, and learn a little something new is incredible. I hope I provided that value back to you and that you got everything you hoped for out of this session here today. Thank you so much. Please feel free to reach out to myself or your Apex sales representative if you have more questions. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll catch you next time. Take care.